I had no objections to a treaty. As a matter of fact, I've long been an advocate of strategic arms limitation, hoping that we could arrive at something that would be mutually beneficial to both countries. Therefore, it can't be said that I have objected to a treaty. Now, I have had reservations about what I've been given to understand might be the provisions of such a treaty or ancillary agreements. And that is to say that I would not like to see the United States frozen into a vastly inferior position.
Well, I wish Mr. Briscoe was here. But as you know, I keep saying, where are you, Mr. Briscoe? Were you able to get the two Republicans together? I gathered that from the news release. I saw Mr. Fay the other day in Brownsville, and I said, well, here we are for debate. We're just not in the right party at this time.
If Mr. Briscoe were here, what would you like to talk with him about?
I think we have issues to discuss. We have state issues to discuss. And to the best of my recollection, I may be in error, I haven't heard him say anything about the #1 priority for the 63rd legislative session, which will be public school financing.
Well, we're going to submit a code of ethics and let the legislature work on this. I think the people are in an atmosphere or feel that one ought to be submitted, and then we're going to submit or open the call whereby the trailer brake law can be amended.
Do you anticipate no new taxes during the special session?
No, I don't anticipate no new taxes. I'm saying to you we'll have no new taxes.
Would you veto new taxes if they're appropriated?
Well, there won't be an opportunity to veto it because we're not going to open the call for taxes.
The graduation ceremonies were preceded by a noon luncheon. The talk was light, and the faces were happy. But behind this facade was the knowledge shared by the new officers and their families that to be a cop in Dallas has become a very dangerous profession. During the past 5 months, 3 officers have been killed in the line of duty, 2 of them rookies. But the president of the graduation class said the new officers accept this danger as part of the challenge in law enforcement.
We are ready to test our hopes, our training, and even our lives against the greatest internal threat to this city, this state, and this nation today, crime. We must and will meet this challenge with the knowledge that the peace officer of today can no longer alienate himself from the society he has sworn to protect and serve.
Most of the officers in this graduation class are young, in their early 20s. There were 38 of them altogether, the first graduates under the Police Academy's new practical training program. Included in the group, 3 blacks, 2 of them women, and also 2 Mexican Americans, recruited as part of the police department's effort to increase the number of minority officers on the force. Another graduate was Tom Batchelor, grandson of the late Charles Batchelor, Dallas police chief from 1966 to 69. The current police chief, Frank Dyson, told the graduates the challenges facing them now are greater than ever before, but he emphasized that they are special people because it's their duty, he said, to serve the people of Dallas as professional law officers. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.
In all of this, the stadium plays such an important part, and Grand Prairie has been very aggressive in wanting to participate in the stadium, but of course this requires a tremendous amount of financing on our part, and we can't start our financing until we find out whether we've got our franchise, and it's a very difficult thing, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, and at this time we feel we definitely need the hockey franchise in order to make the stadium fit a financial equation.
So then, if you don't get the franchise, you won't build the stadiums and the Chaps will continue to play downtown at the auditorium?
Well, I hope that doesn't hold true. We still want a new stadium. We feel that all over the country where basketball teams are playing in new stadiums and adequate facilities, their attendance are not doubling, they're tripling 3 and 4 times. New York's income this year in a new stadium was 4 times what it was last year in their old stadium. So we hope to still put together a stadium, but it will change a little bit of the route that we could take.
Moving then from...
Well, this car is designed to run mainly on dirt, and your cars tomorrow are designed to run only on pavement. They're rear engine type. Now these cars, their Indy cars came from this type of car here. They have, through the years, they've changed it a lot, but the Indy drivers still drive these a lot to stay sharp, stay on their toes.
What kind of speeds can you generate in a car like this?
I've run over 150 miles an hour in it, and that's pretty fast to make a left-hand turn.
You know, with racing on the dirt tracks, I'm sure you don't have the straightaways like you would at a larger racetrack, do you?
Well, up north and toward California, we have 5/8 dirt mile tracks, and you can run 150 there, but you've got a high bank turn too. You've got a long straightaway there.
Are they dangerous cars?
Well, we put a lot of safety into them, the roll cage, the bladders, and the fuel tanks. We go after safety first and then the speeds. We try to keep it safe. We're not trying to hurt anybody at all.
How does a guy get interested in auto racing? What was your story? Did you grow up with it or something like that?
I grew up with it. I drove quarter midgets and go-karts when I was 7, 8 years old till I was about 13. My father used to announce at some area tracks, and I used to go to the races all the time. After a while, when I was old enough to drive them, I started building one, and I wound up in something like this. Just real lucky.
Very similar. I think the team took a little time to get together last year, and they're taking a little time to get together this year. Last night's game was the best overall performance, I think, this year. We played very well last night against Monterey, and I'm very pleased the way the team's shaping up. It's just beginning to get together right now.
In talking to a couple of your players about the Atlanta game, they say they won the fights, but they lost the score. Will this happen in any other games this year, do you think?
Well, I certainly hope not. I hope they've learnt their lesson. You know, I can understand the boys' feelings in this Atlanta game, but nevertheless, we're out there to do a job, and we should have gone on and won the game, and never mind about their own individual battles.
Will Miami present a problem? Are they as strong as Atlanta?
Miami, everybody predicted, has been the #1 threat for the league. They've not got together at all this year. They're the big surprise in the league by not doing so well. They were beaten 6-1 by New York, which New York seem to be one of the strongest teams now in the league. But I'm not going to underestimate Miami, because they've got some tremendous players. Because all those who follow soccer will know Warren Archibald. He's such a fast player. He's the Black Flash, I think they call him. He's just tremendously quick. And he always gives us a lot of headaches. And there's a lot of room at Texas Stadium.
Well, I think it was a despicable act.
That's my personal opinion, and it's opinion that held by many black people who recognize that Governor Wallace was not their friend, but they don't think that a man ought to be struck down by bullets of an assassin, and especially because of the views he holds.
I think the most significant thing of this is for next year, is whether the school district is going to allow parents and students, in this particular case all the complaints were Anglo students, to disobey the court order. Is this going to allow other students to do the same thing? And if so, you know, we're telling people that the desegregation order is not going to work, and we're not going to make it work if we allow this type of disobedience to continue. And in this particular case, these parents and students were in flagrant violation of the court order. We're allowing children to disobey the court order, and of course because the parents have done so. And it's telling a lot of students in the city that they can get away with it. And of course I think the school district is partially to blame here.
I say this about all of them but George Wallace, and I'm talking about President Nixon and Humphrey, McGovern, and Kennedy, and they're all soft on communism, and they're all fence-straddlers on Americanism. They're weak, cowardly people that don't have the guts and the patriotism and political courage to tell it like it is in this country.
Are you talking about those men that you just mentioned?
Yes, sir.
McGovern, Humphrey, Kennedy?
Yes, sir. And Nixon? Yes, sir.
Mr. Nixon,
each and every one of them, and many more of them, even most of the Congress, they're soft on communism, and they're weak on Americanism.
This issue of busing is getting more and more confused. Let's not scramble the eggs anymore and give Congress a chance to come up with substantive legislation to deal with the issue.